Welcome to Construction Trailblazers, the podcast that gets real about leading people, managing projects, and simplifying the chaos of growth. I'm Samantha C Prestige, and I work with leaders who want less firefighting and more traction. You can catch past episodes at constructiontrailblazers.com and find practical strategies for building a business that runs smoother. Today, I get to chat with Benjamin Holmgren. He's the guy behind some of the most valuable peer groups and workshops in construction. We all know that so many construction contractors are building $50 million companies the same way they built their first million, just 15 years older and way more tired. So Benjamin's on a mission to change that. He helps people shift from short-sighted decisions to long-term strategy with real connection, real insight, and way less burnout. So thanks for joining us today, Ben.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming. So just give me some insight into kind of your experience in the construction world and the dirt world, and then what really prompted you to be like, you know what, we need more community and we need these groups.
I came up on a mini excavator and worked in the field. So for the first several years of my short career so far, the first 8 years were spent in the field or in the shop, wrenching on stuff. And then I got into the more on the sales side, selling to concrete contractors, and eventually ended up working in the construction marketing world at BuildWit. And then, long story short, here a year and a half ago, I started the ground crew. And the way it started, actually, to answer your question, was I had started doing some consulting for people, like some pretty basic stuff on helping them implement new systems and processes and softwares and get into solving some of the issues in their business. And all the people that I know, all of my friends, everyone I like hanging out with, they're all construction people. And more specifically,
Yes.
they work in civil construction, dirt work, asphalt paving, some
Mm.
concrete, site work, utilities, that kind of thing. I start working with some of these people, and one day one of the guys calls me, like a month or two in, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, you ever think of hosting like a peer group of sorts?" And I was like, "I have never thought of that. I don't know. Say more." And he describes this peer group idea and how it would work, and we'd meet twice a year and
Mhm.
whatever. And I put this post up on LinkedIn, and I said, "Hey, if anyone is interested in like a excavation peer group, comment below and you can fill out this form and just help me gauge interest." I shot off LinkedIn. I went to bed. I wake up this next morning and I open the form. 63 contractors had filled out the form.
Wow.
And it was
Cool.
like, I'm no influencer. I'm no nobody. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just like a nobody in the corner of the internet. And I was just staring, reading through all these responses. Yes, would do this. Here's how much we'd pay, whatever. And it was like, you
Mm.
don't find these days very often in your career, but that was a day. Like I am positive I will remember that day for maybe the rest of my life because it was that one day, literally that Tuesday was like everything changed. I'm like, I have to do this. Here's all these people just like
Wow.
screaming at me, this needs to be executed. And so I did. And fast forward 14 months, and we have 8 peer groups now with 8 to 10
Mm.
contractors apiece, all from all around the country, all around the continent. I have some Canadians in the groups as
Cool.
well, and they're bracketed by revenue. So 3 to 15 million, 15 to 50 million, 50 to 150 million. And I pair people up by revenue and then by
Mm.
location. So making sure we don't have competitors that overlap in these different
Mm.
groups. And it's been going phenomenal. We meet twice a year and in person, and it's a huge blessing. It's awesome. It's been awesome.
That's so cool because first off, you got to like totally skip what a lot of business owners have to do and struggle with the market validity of an idea. Like someone was like, "This is something you need to do." I could see you being awesome at it, and then 63 people showed up and confirmed and validated that idea. So I know I've got like my list of questions in, but my curiosity is super peaked here. Of in the past 14 months, can you give us some insight of some of like the biggest aha moments that you've seen from people just engaging in these groups?
Yes. Yes. What a great question, too. There's a few people I would tell you about. One is Tom. Tom came to the very first peer group. And again, we meet every 6 months, but all groups have to start somewhere. So we meet the first time. And Tom had been growing. He grew from 0 to 2 million to 6 million to 12 to 15, like very quickly grew grew the peer group, grew the construction company he was running. And he was pulled in 1,000 different directions, as you might imagine, as anyone would be. And we spent 2 days together, and he asked these questions, and he's getting feedback and seeing how other people are doing it. And at the end of the 2 days, we go around and we do this thing. Let's everybody share your takeaways, we action items and all this stuff, but share your takeaways. And we get around the table and we get to Tom, and I ask him about his takeaways, and he can't talk. He's just choked up.
Oh.
And he takes a few deep breaths, and eventually I've been for 5 years or whatever, I've been trying to sprint to do this thing and grow my top line. And then what's happened is I get these bigger and bigger projects that require more cash, so I have to go sell more. And this is the first time I've realized I've been doing it wrong. I need to fix all this other stuff first before I grow this top line. And then I'm freed up to go grow the top line when I'm actually making margin and things are protected and safe here. My team is in place, all this. I can't keep doing this anymore. And that was so powerful for me to see, because my whole life I've done things, whether it's installing an irrigation system in somebody's yard or whatever. It's something for somebody to appreciate what you're doing. Good deal. But to have somebody who, that one thing, that now we're a year and a half past that, and he's still making effective changes to his business because of those 2 days, that'll change your life. Being there to sit there and watch that happen. And I just counted up the other day, 77 other contractors in between all these groups. I've watched that happen more than once. That's powerful, man.
That's also such a humbling experience, right? To just see the impact that someone else is having from connecting with these people, and then all of the positive dominoes that then fall into place because of that, those 48 hours. Now, it's interesting because you said that he choked up, right? And this is at the end of this 2 days together. But to get to that point, he still had to show some vulnerability up front. Now, I know that if you are immersed in the LinkedIn world, a lot of people are saying all the things about emotional intelligence and vulnerability, but there's also a large part of the construction world that's not in all the LinkedIn content, right? So how did you get these people to come together and really get vulnerable, share the things that they needed to share to then get to that level of impact?
First thing I would say to that is I think there's a lion's share of the industry, or at least the people that I want to hang out with, are on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. You just never see them. It's just been like my whole life, the last year and a half, is like I get a message from somebody I've never heard of, or some little corner of the internet. The guy's never interacted with a single thing that I've ever posted. And I post every day, and he's never been, and then he just pops up and he's like, "When can I start?" So there is like the LinkedIn lurkers exist in huge swaths. So don't underestimate that. If you're on the marketing side or the sales side, don't ever underestimate LinkedIn. It's gonna be a huge regret.
That's a good reminder. I've had some other panels and conversations about the power of lurkers. And for most people, like, yeah, some clients will be the engagers, but for a lot of people, a bulk of your clients are going to be the lurkers, that they don't go and like everything or comment, but they're watching all the things. Like I've had
Totally.
people that are like, oh, I loved your email, or I loved this article. And I was like, could you, I don't know, respond, improve my click rate, like do something so the data tells me, like, I appreciate the verbal confirmation here, but
Sure.
I want the
This
data
could have been
too.
an email.
Yeah. But okay, yes, I will. I definitely don't underestimate the power of lurkers in the social media world. And so do you feel like because they're lurkers and they kind of already knew what to expect going into day one?
Yeah, I think that helps a tremendous amount. Obviously, I'm creating the content, so I have to
Mm-hmm.
still have to go write the posts or go shoot the videos or whatever. And funny enough, like I don't really see myself as like a good content guy, but apparently these
Are.
people will follow, and like genuinely, it's not like some weird, I guess it's like weird complex. I guess people want to follow along, so I'll keep writing stuff and keep making videos and doing whatever. But it's just been like the one unlock that's it's changed my life. Things like this, this doesn't work without customers, and I don't know where my
Hmm.
customers would come from if it wasn't for my effort on creating content and building a brand of sorts on LinkedIn and Instagram. I think it's easy for people like you and I who we work with contractors, so it's easy for us to be like, yeah, we could go on LinkedIn and there's a bunch of contractors on there. But I've worked with a bunch of guys in my peer groups that they use LinkedIn all the time to connect with their customers. So their general contractors, their
Mm.
developers, their project owners. You find the GC or whoever you're looking to work with, and then you go and use LinkedIn, use Instagram, use the tools that you have to get in front of them and reach out to them and stuff. It's a massively underrated tool, not just if you're like in services for contractors. If you're a contractor itself, I think you can completely use it to your advantage.
Oh, absolutely. And there's again, like it's LinkedIn has evolved over so many years, right? And it's not what some people stereotypically think of it just on the like for jobs or something or only connecting with customers. There's also this breadth of power in finding your referral partners or finding a competitor that you can actually collaborate with and really building out your community in that way. So let's go back to the story of Tom and let's look on maybe the other side of the coin. Tom had great impact day one and day two, and experiencing that impact almost a year and a half later. Was there anyone that joined that was maybe still excited to join, but a little more restrained, a little bit hesitant to share and be vulnerable? And how did you kind of see their evolution in the group?
Yeah, there's a few others, or there has been. Like I said,
Hmm.
I have 8 groups going now, and next week I go to Michigan starting group 9. Some people take a little longer to warm up. Some people take longer to let their guard down, but I try to quickly get through that so that because that's where the value is. If you can't humble yourself, if you don't show up humble, if you feel like you need to show up and have the answers or pretend like you know what you're talking about, it just doesn't work. There's nothing useful about it. So there's I don't know how I've gotten this fortunate, but there's been very few people that I would put on that in that category. And I suppose it's like the nature of showing up to things like this. You don't pay money, you don't pay me, you don't pay Delta Airlines to fly you there. You take the time away from your office in order to go to stuff like this unless you're ready to share. I would like to think that some of the tone setting is good. Some of the tone setting from the others in the group. It's not just me, that it's others offering, willing to be vulnerable first. But without a doubt, there's been people that the first time we meet, they get some stuff out of it. The second time we meet, okay, they start to crack. By the third time, we're going. Like, we're
Rocking
all
and
in.
rolling.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, where do you see, like, okay, they're really getting impact because of their peers and because of this community versus maybe we could find this impact if we hired a specific consultant around this issue? Like, why does it really matter for them to connect with other people doing similar work?
That's such a good question because I've had like complex, like I wish I could be a smart consultant and have a suit jacket that I can wear when I fly and stuff. I can't do any of that stuff. Like I'm just not smart enough. I don't own a suit jacket. Instead, when you sit in a room and you watch two contractors, one guy's from Ohio, one guy's from Texas or Oregon or Connecticut or Georgia, and they talk about software or they talk about hiring or they talk about HR practices or they talk about any of these things. There's not a person in that room that has a horse in the race. They don't have a dog in the show in order for them to buy HCSS versus Bid to Win versus CloudRig
Mhm.
or anything else. And the best I can think about it, it's that these people tell each other the truth. They're free to tell each other the truth because they're not scared of that the conversation is going to come back and bite them when they end up bidding against this guy later. And
Mm.
two, nobody gets compensated or is paid to push some certain product or some certain system or anything. It's like take it or leave it. Our experience is HCSS is great. Bid to Win sucks. Whatever. Whatever. I don't have a horse. I don't care. It's like
Yeah.
I got customers that have all of them, and it doesn't matter to me. Like I want
Mm.
what's best for the customer. So that I think that's just so incredibly freeing. Last thing I would share on this is each group that I have a mentor that comes along with it. So like one of the things I do, I hire a mentor to come in, and a mentor is someone who's maybe a few steps ahead of this group. For example, the 3 to 15 million, it might be somebody that does 25 million or 50 million, somebody who's been there and done that, but has gotten through some of these challenges. And the mentor comes not as the guy with all the answers or somebody that is Mayor McSmarty pants. It's that they can lend their perspective, having gone through it themselves. That's been easily one of the most valuable parts. Is, oh, I know Herb's going to be there. I know Chad's going to be there. I know Tyler's going to be there, or John's going to be there. Like these guys that been there and done that and got the t-shirt, and they don't come with all the answers by any means. You get, I would say it's like an even split. Usually guys get a ton of info and a ton of maybe inspiration out of someone who they see, hey, this guy's where I want to be, but they can also lean on their peers and learn from them and hear what they're experiencing right now. So I think that's been a
Yeah.
key part of how it's been useful.
It sounds like you've created a very neutral space that still has a lot of energy. And so someone can show up knowing that they can contribute, but also knowing, like, oh, I don't have to be on top of my game. I'm not the leader of everyone here. I can come up, like, in some of the peer groups I'm in, I'm like, this is my space to be dumb. I need to be a
Yep.
hot mess and be kind of dumb in this group because I just kind of, I need that mental relief and then just to soak up the wisdom of the other people. And it sounds like you've done a great job curating that. And I didn't realize that mentors were a part of your structure. Did you kick off with including mentors, or was that an evolution?
Yeah, that was from the first day. And it came again.
Cool.
You keep asking questions that remind me that this all comes out of like a huge complex that I have, like a
Mm.
inferiority complex that I've had. I don't have
No.
anymore. But it's like, who am I to be bringing these people together? Who am I to say that I have
Mm.
all these smarts or whatever? Why don't I just bring somebody else who does? Turns out that fear turned into a really important piece of my offer. And one of the things that I just like, I can put my back into this and stand behind this. If somebody wants to say, oh, it's not that valuable, I just am
Mm.
not going to believe you because nearly 80 other contractors are like, that's half the reason I come here. And so it's a, all right, if you don't like that, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's given me a ton of confidence and a ton of just like, I'm just so sure that if you show up humble, ready to learn, and hungry, ready to
Mm.
execute, you just won't lose. You can't lose.
It's the recipe for success right there. And eventually, I have so many positive testimonials will wipe away all the insecurities. Now,
Yeah.
you've also gotten some really great reviews of another offer that you do. And so you not only put together these really great groups, you also will bring people together for just like a 2 day sprint. So your workshops. So give me a little bit more insight into like why those are valuable, how you do them differently, and like what people really get out of those.
Yeah, the workshops are such a blast. It's with the peer groups that we've been talking about. There's 8 or 10 contractors, maybe a few people bring two, maybe it's partners or a husband and wife team that run this company or
Mm.
whatever. I've got a bunch of different situations like that. Point is, maybe there's 12 or 14 people in the room for 2 days, and we're going to be in a different room, same group, different room, different state, 6 months from now, and then 6 months after that. We can get very deep and we get very detailed, and each person gets a whole bunch of time to discuss their specific issues, and we kind of popcorn around it, and we have a whole structure for that. The workshops, though, imagine 30 or 40 people in a room. Again, all contractors. You might have some of these workshops. I did a workshop on building processes and systems in your business. It's called Operationalize Your Dirt Business. There's 40 people. There's contractors that do a couple million a year and a couple doing 40 or 50 million and everyone in between. So there's a lot broader kind of audience, all civil construction, but some big companies, some small companies. And then it's a lot more training, learning, teaching, and then some breakouts, and then a bunch of meal times and lunchtime walks and things like that that are just fun and enjoyable. And like we were in Tempe, Arizona, we'll be in Tampa, Florida. We're going to be in Portland, Oregon for another one next month. And I'm trying to create really cool experiences that almost feel like a vacation that you can easily
Mm-hmm.
justify writing off and putting on the company card because we're talking about equipment, we're talking about cash flow, we're talking about building processes, this kind of thing. So when you invent the thing yourself, you can just make it however you want. I'm learning.
Hmm.
And what I hate is going to some event and sitting there and listening to somebody drone on for hours. And then you go get some carb heavy lunch and you eat it and then you're falling
Hmm.
asleep in the afternoon. I just hate that whole scene. What I want is give me some info. Let me talk to these people at my table. Let me get up and go for a walk and meet new people and discuss and chat and talk about my issues. And then let's get back into it. Teach me some more stuff. Keep this focused, short, energetic. And that's everything that I'm trying to do with the workshops. That's what my aim is.
Yes. I appreciate that. Like, take the traditional structured BS, throw it away. And it's like,
Yep.
then what's something that you would actually want to sit through and attend, right? And then that's where the magic happens. Like, I did an online summit a few weeks ago, and it was like, I hate like webinars with pitch decks. So we're not doing any pitch decks. It's a panel discussion. We're going to be interactive. And what I also really like about this idea, and I don't mean it to come across like shit talking or anything, because I know that you also used to work at BuildWit, and they have their own super big conference, and those have value for certain people. But this past year, I've been way more focused on small workshops like that, or like very small summits, small little conferences where you have more interaction with some of the people, where you don't feel like you're just being lectured at all day, but you can learn and then figure out, oh, like, how am I going to apply this? And it sounds like that's some of the structure that you've created. So what's been some of the feedback and other aha moments that you've seen come out of these workshops?
It's like the I told you the story about getting all this feedback, putting the post up online and then waking up the next morning and getting all this feedback where it's just undeniable. I like
Mm-hmm.
that idea. And that's been one of the things that, as I've gotten both from the peer groups and from the workshops, it's just undeniable feedback. People want to be able to interact with other people that are similar to them and be able to be wide open about their issues. That's it. So if you can do that, you get good feedback, you get people who actually care or make you feel like they care about what you're talking about. They have good, solid responses and counsel for you. It's like that's what people care about. So I like you mentioned Build like what those people have done is unbelievable. I was front and center at the very first Dirt World Summit that they hosted, and it was a Herculean effort. It's a complete miracle that it happened, but it did. And it's
Yeah.
only gotten bigger and better from there. I went last year. I have a ticket to go this year, although it may overlap with a big anniversary trip we're doing. So I'm a little bit nervous.
Woo.
I might miss it, but it's an anniversary trip. Oh, come on. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyways, we'll get the dates worked out. But at any rate, it's that absolutely has its place. My challenge, my opportunity is that a bigger company with more people on payroll and all this stuff, they just need to charge so much money in order to make the thing worth it, or they need to
Hmm.
have more people there, and that's it. And so what they're doing, I love what they're doing. They're this year trying to create like almost mini peer groups or make sure that you're sitting at tables with right people. I love it. I saw that. I'm like, let's go, you guys. That's perfect. It's awesome. But my, I'm one guy and I have Katie on
Hmm.
my team who helps super part time, but she helps with all the logistics and stuff that I'm not strong at. And I can make money way easier because I don't have big offices and big expenses and all this stuff. Now, is that going to change? Probably. Am I going to have to rethink this? Whatever. I'm sure. But
Yeah.
here we are. And I think there's just so much value. It comes back to that question you asked: what would I want to do? And it's like, I've been to
Hmm.
other events. I've been to huge, massive conferences. I've been to Con Expo. I've been to World of Concrete more times than I can count. And you're just one person in a sea of a million. And then you wonder what time, if maybe you can get an earlier flight home. And I've been to
Yeah.
other conferences or other workshops and things. Like I went to the Path for Growth workshop last year in September.
Hmm.
It was amazing. 50 people, amazing. Such an awesome experience because I could sit and talk with Joe for an hour about some
Hmm.
specific thing. It was just awesome. So those, yeah, it's just I find a ton more meaning in it for me. And then
Hmm.
when people are connecting and having these great conversations and really being able to help each other, I think like it's very meaningful to me. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to help facilitate that. It's my job.
Yeah. good old simplicity in business, right? Just like what feels good. And oh man, the idea of like being lost in the sea of people. I remember being at some conferences, and I mean, I think I'm a pretty outgoing person. I've got some energy, but you go to those conferences and sometimes it just feels like middle school days, right? Of like, how do I make friends? I don't know. And then, you've got people that come with their cliques, or they've come with like six other people from their own companies. And you're like, how do I even get to talk to anybody for 5 minutes, right? Besides, like, excuse me while I get my coffee.
Right.
So it's so encourage the idea of people going to workshops, go to those small events where you can really engage and soak up some of that wisdom. Now, you also mentioned you've got an anniversary trip coming up. How many years is this?
This is a dozen, 12
A
years.
dozen. Wow. Okay. So let's go a little bit on the personal side here, because you are traveling every which way in the United States. And for those that don't know you, you've got quite the gang of kids at home. We've got 7 kids at home. So for you, between balancing all these ambitions of everyone in your peer group and kind of really maintaining connections with everybody, and then traveling around for workshops and wherever the groups are being held, how do you personally find that balance and avoid burnout and still kind of uphold whatever your family values are?
I've heard it said it's not necessarily balance, it's integration. I like that
Mm,
frame as a thought exercise. Okay, so
hmm
work is going to go on and life is going to go on either way, whether I screw this thing up or not. Integration meaning, like, how do I fit work into my family? You just mentioned values. Like, there is nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids. Period.
mm,
Done. End of story. And I'll work at the bottom of a salt mine for the rest of my life if it means protecting them and their well-being, their future. So it's not oh, dad's just off running around the country and mom's at home with the kids and stressing her brains out and all this. We work on it. We work on it. We communicate
hmm
constantly about, is this too much? Is this not enough? I had last year, I had 3 groups started, which equates to 6 trips a year. So we meet every 6 months. So I have 8 groups going. So that's 16 trips a year plus 3 or 4 workshops a year. So I'm at 20 trips a year. So that's 2 a month. Take December out of it. Like, we're busy. We go. But we've talked about it. My wife and I have talked about it.
mm,
And so when I'm working, especially when I'm traveling or leading up to a trip, like, all hands on deck. When it's flexible, like in June, I don't think I traveled anywhere. I got a ton of time at home, ton of time with the kids. Obviously, I'm still working. I'm still focused. I work every day. It's not like I'm just like hanging out, but I can take the littles and go grab a coffee at 10 a.m. and it's crazy flexible. And my wife knows that, and I know that. So we've communicated about it, and she doesn't make me feel guilty for leaving. And when I'm
mm,
home, I try to be home, and I don't work. I don't work evenings. I try to get off early, like early on Fridays. Most of my people are all other time zones and later in the day, and so I'm like, Friday, we out.
yeah.
We do stuff like that, and it's just work. It's the integration has worked pretty well. It was a question though, for sure, and something
hmm
we
hmm
kind of landed on. Hey, we're going to do this thing. Her and I need to be on the same page. The kids need to be on the same page, and then,
hmm
hey, when Dad has to leave for a trip tomorrow, I'll leave next week. So this is how we pay for all this other stuff, kids. Like,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
There you go.
bye,
Um,
Dad.
Yeah, wow, there's a few things that I really want to touch on there. And but the first thing I want to highlight is just the power and the beauty that comes in the level of success you can reach when both partners support each other. That's like a totally different podcast, but I just want to highlight that because I think that sometimes that formula is missing for some people, and it can get very taxing then, all that travel. And I think it was Brene Brown that kind of pointed this out of there's parent focused families, there's kid focused families, and then there's family focused families. And it sounds like you guys have kind of found what that looks like for you guys and the way that you integrate work and family that works for you. And that's awesome. What I'm also hearing on that is communication, obviously important. It's overrated and underrated in all the ways. We've got to communicate on what's going on. But I'm also hearing that kind of a little bit of the cliche of when you're at work and you're present there. And when you're at home and you're present there. And I think that that deserves a little bit of expansion because that is not as easy. It's easier said than done. And so, what has kind of been some of your own personal strategies? Because I think this strategy or this idea is applicable whether you're an owner and a CEO, or you're a traveling superintendent, or you're a laborer or a consultant. So, what's that strategy been for you to be focused and present in each of those lanes?
There's a bunch I could say about things that I've tried, and I'm sure everybody has heard these routines. Shut your laptop at 5 p.m. and you do your little presence grounding and meditation, all this stuff. And there's all these things that I could say. One one thing that has made all the difference was a year and a half ago. I At 29 years old, I had a stroke and melted part of my brain and stuff. 10 days later, my wife went to the hospital at 23 weeks pregnant, and our baby was trying to get out. She laid flat, pumped full of magnesium for 3 weeks. Baby stayed in. She was born. Little Stina was born at 26 weeks, 1 pound, 13 ounces. Way, way early. Halfway done, basically, just over halfway done. Thanks to God, she survived 4 months in the hospital. Brutal, brutal experience. I'm like half brain dead. It feels like I can't remember anything, can't drive for a while, like all this just life altering stuff. You can't go through that experience and come out the other end and be the same person. And I started my business just after all that happened because I'm either a glutton for punishment or I have a faith the grain of a mustard seed or whatever. It was kind of like, it's not going to get worse than this. How could it get worse? So we might as well send it. Now you can question my judgment. We can talk about that again, separate podcast, but it worked. But the point is, and the reason I'm saying this is you can't go through those experiences and then be the same person running around like I used to be, just frantic. I've been in sales for selling some sort of thing, whether it's landscaping services or instruments to concrete contractors or whatever, selling all this stuff, stressing my brains out. Oh, gotta get this quota, gotta hit this, and oh, I'm gonna lose my job, or hey, I'm crushing it, feeling like $1 million, and it just doesn't matter. It does matter, but it like doesn't matter once you go through that stuff. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do the very best I can until 4:30 or 5. I'll go for a run. I'm gonna be with my kids, and if I crush it, good deal. If I don't, we'll figure something else out.
Wow, that's a God forcing you to wake up kind of moment. And I'm a little bit of at a loss for words because that is such a profound and impactful moment in your life, and that not only affected you but then also affected your family, and your wife's going through something as well, and we've got a extremely premature baby. So I think also to the grace of God that you guys got through that and everyone's healthy and wonderful now. And again, grace of God that you were able to kind of realize the lessons you're supposed to learn from that, and okay, how can we show up every day and do what we're supposed to do, right, and live with the spirit there. So thank you for opening up and sharing that. Now if we'll play a bit of a humorous curve here of like, so for the people that maybe don't want to go through a stroke and don't want to experience these things, if we had one bit of a takeaway, like they're like, okay, I've listened to what Ben has had to say. I'm not going to join a peer group right now. Maybe I'm going to look at the workshops later in the year, but what can I do today to either run my business better or to show up better for my family and for my business? What would that piece of advice be?
If I had to give advice, I hate giving advice, but I can share at least what's worked for me. A couple, this would be just a grab bag. One, it'll seem random, but stick with me. I don't think, at least for people like me who are high energy, all over the place sometimes, not sure what we're supposed to be doing. Taking some time, in my case, it's in the mornings, taking some time to just write down your thoughts, write what you think,
Mm.
and then finish with a priority list. What needs to be done, even if nothing else gets done? What are the one, two, three things that need to get done today in order for me to be successful? I've seen so much, and I hate to keep going back to this sales conversation, but in
Mhm.
sales, you have it's like the highs are high and the lows are low, or highs are higher and the lows are lower. If you're a staff accountant at a huge company, you work your job and you get paid your salary and you go home and away you go. If you're a seller, whether it's your own business or you have a sales role where your paycheck and your it feels like your life depends on it,
Mhm.
you get frantic. And if you're crushing it, you know it, and so does everybody else around you. If you're not crushing it, you also know that. You carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. What I found
Mhm.
is, what are the couple things that I need to do in order for me to have a successful day, whether I crush some big goal or
Mm.
not? What are the couple things I need to do? Write that stuff down. And I have my little remarkable tablet here. I have probably 15 notebooks from years and years of writing, write down my thoughts, get all this chaos out of my head, and then write down a couple of things I need to do today. And that one tool or trick or whatever, for people that don't do that, if you just wake up, you grab your coffee and you go hit the road, I cannot imagine these people. It's like they get their kicks from being the first one out the door or whatever. I can get out the door in 6 minutes after waking up. I'm like, I would die. I would hate that. So I think, yeah, that's one thing that's worked for me. It's not even advice because I don't know, maybe other people can use it, maybe not, but that's worked extremely well for me. It's just like grounds
Yeah.
me. Like, hey, here's what I need to do. And then at the end of the day, did I do my one priority, two priorities? If I did, good enough. Like, good
Yeah.
deal.
We got an A+ for the day if we did that. My husband is, because he's not a morning person, so he is like the get up and roll out. He gets up, he showers, he grabs a cup of coffee, and he's going to work. But because he's not a morning person, so he plans how long can he sleep until the last possible minute. So then this is how much time we need to get ready, and then we're out the door, you know. Whereas I can't, I'm like you, I can't imagine doing things like that. Like I need to roll into my day. I am a morning person, but I'm an introverted morning person, so I need my rolling into the day. And I don't journal. I should journal. I feel like as a productivity person, that should be one of my things. And I've tried to get into it. And I'm not consistent with it. But that, I absolutely love that. At least the idea of focus on like one to two top priorities and feel good about yourself at the end of the day if you got to check those things off. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for joining us today. This has been an absolutely amazing conversation. We will share links if you want to learn more about Ben's peer groups or learn more about his upcoming workshops. We'll share those links in the show notes, and then we'll see you next time on Construction Trailblazers.
Thanks so much, Sam.